welcome to another exciting, fun-filled, expeditious episode of Radiorama as I get this out of this radio. This is a Westinghouse model H-161 radio. It is AM and FM. Has their famous wonderful rainbow dial in the front. Beautiful colors illuminate this dial when it's on. It's AM and FM. I believe it's from, I'm trying to remember, 47, 48. And I've worked on this before, and it's usually a pretty good radio for FM. And I like the blonde cabinet. I'm hoping I can save it a little bit because it looks a little rough. I don't know what this white crap is, but anyway, let's try it out. I have it on my Variac, which by the way is on the Fritz. I discovered that actually when it's 110, it's well, at 90 volts on this, it's actually 110. So I need to break this open again and reset it. I've had to reset it 3 times. So I think I'm going to break down and get a Syncor. They're expensive for a reason. It's aggravating. So I want to see how much current this is going to draw when I bring it up, because if it draws too much, that means something horrific is wrong, and I don't want to blow up the transformer in it, because that would be a lot of work. Alright, here we go. Alright, I'm not even looking at the radio. I'm going to look at what it's drawing. And not drawing much, and the needle is going back down as that means the capacitors are charging, everything's warming up, the filaments are doing their thing. And where are we at? Oh, we're already 70% there, so that I feel more confident in. So I'm going to bring it up the rest of the way to 90 volts / 120 volts. And let's that sounds like capacitors that are on their way out. Either that, or it could be a loose connection or a loose tube. Let me make sure it's not doing anything horrible right now. I don't know about that. Alright. I don't like that at all. I think the filter caps are gone. They were on their very last legs, and I just probably knocked them out the rest of the way. So by default, that means taking that chassis out, disconnecting the speaker, which is easy because it is going right there, and pull it out, and we probably have X number of electrolytic capacitors that need to be dealt with. Check at that capacitor, not capacitor, that transformer. Look how thick that is. 50 to 60 cycles. It looks like more like something for a 20 cycle connection. I'm not getting this camera to adjust properly these days. Anyway, I noticed one thing when I took the chassis out, which is someone mushed in part of the frame here, so I got to pull that dent out. The other thing I noticed is that someone's been in here, and these look relatively recent. These are, I've seen that brand recently. So we've got another electrolytic here, but that's probably very low voltage. No, 450 volts. Okay. We've got a whole slew of them here. Now, why they did this, why did they have these guys just wiggling in the air like that? I don't know. I don't like that. Another thing I see in here, that's not a good sign. You see this? So that's a mica cap that has split open, and so that's likely gone to air. That needs to be replaced. There's several of those in here, and they're all cracked wide open. And then there's a bunch of paper caps in here. I'm not as concerned about those. There's another possibility that we have one or more gassy tubes or a shorted tube. So I'm going to do some bare minimum type of stuff. I'm going to replace those busted open caps. I'm going to neaten this up a little bit. I guess that one's okay. And then after that, I'm going to test the tubes, because why not? It's already out of the case. It's easy. And then I'm going to pull this back. And I just realized I'm starving. I don't know, my wife's across the country. I've been by myself for 2 months. And when I get busy on stuff, I just forget to eat. And then I realize I better eat or I'm going to fall over. So I'm going to go inside and have some peanut butter and jelly sandwiches or something. All right, well, I replaced those domino caps. Some of them were quite badly ruptured. Something I didn't see until just now, literally before I started filming, is that half this wafer is missing. And that is no good. What I'm hoping is that maybe half the wafer is missing. That doesn't matter, because you see the others, like this one here, all the action's down here. So I'm hoping that's not going to be a problem, because if it is, this thing is hosed. I would have to like find an exact replacement, which would be nearly impossible. I'd have to find another model of this same radio that was junked. I'm not going to junk the radio though. Like if it winds up being like something where I can't get radio to work, I'll either try to jerry rig it so that only FM works, because I mean, most people these days would rather listen to music on FM anyway. I don't know what I'm saying. I don't see any other wires or jumper cables that looks like they've been removed, so I could get lucky. Before I do anything else, I'm going to clean all the controls and stuff. Attack 2 can cause all kinds of havoc. It's interesting. I think both of these pots have been replaced. So this thing has had some surgery for sure. And I'm cleaning all the pots, or not the pots, but I'm cleaning all the wafer switches here. We might be all right. I'm looking, and there's nowhere else for this to move except back and forth like that. So it could be it just broke in the right place. I mean, I wish I went ahead and broken it all, but whatever. So I'm gonna, since we got the speaker here, we can fire it up again and see if it makes those funny noises. If it does, then I'm going to start testing the tubes and see if any of those are gassy or shorted. All right, let's try it out. All the pilot lights are good. That's good. I can't remember which one of these is volume, so I'll just turn them all down. I can't tell what band that is.
Total bed nights in the last several years. At the Bay Area Rescue Mission, it's all about.
I think that's AM. That's FM. Seems to be coming in a little too quiet though, but this is an early FM. Why is this camera doing this? It's filming at a weird like aspect ratio, and I'm too stupid technologically to figure out why. Let me get a longer antenna wire to see if FM will improve somewhat. Alright, FM works sorta. It seems sensitive enough, but there's not a lot of volume on it.
My duties as president.
Uh-oh, are we stuck? Oh crap! Oh, I forgot about these. These have this strange spring-loaded cog mechanism that gets stuck real easy. Well, they're using the wrong tuning string too. You know what? I can deal with that. I'm going to test the tubes. I am worn out. We had radio day yesterday, and prior to that we had to set everything up, and that took forever. I shouldn't complain. We had a wonderful time. Thanks to everyone that showed up, but I am physically beat. And I've been distracted because I've also been working on this car over here. And so I had a very fruitful day. So let me check the tubes next, and then that'll be it as far as the radio for today. I'm gonna need to water the lawn and excuse me, take out the cat litter or clean out the litter boxes and all the other chores. I've been a bachelor man for the last 2 months because my wife's been away across the country. All right, let me check the tubes, see if there's anything bad. I want to show y'all something ridiculous. So I thought to myself, just a little thought in the back of my head, which was, you know, I want to double check to make sure that the right tubes are in the right sockets. And I looked, and according to what's written on the tag and the radio, that's supposed to be a 6L6, and what they've got in there is a 6V6. No, that is really, really, really wrong. I guarantee there's probably, I'll need to check. I'll need to see what the substitution is for that. But 6V6 is not nearly as powerful of an output tube as a 6V6 is not a 6L6. 6L6 is like a 6V6 on steroids. Don't know about the compatibility. I don't know if I'm going to look that up at this moment. I'm not sure if I have any 6L6 tubes. I'll have to look at my stash. Alright, so I decided to test the most suspect tube in AM, which is the 6AT6. And it's a 3-section tube, and the first section of it, which is supposed to measure 30 something, only measures 10. That would make FM very weak, and I'm not sure if I have any of these tubes in stock, but if I do, that one's very, very, very weak. So that could explain a lot. Well, here's an update. It looks like maybe whoever worked on this last must have thought that tube locations were just a suggestion, because we had the first audio tube in the wrong spot. We had 6BA6 here where 6AU6 is supposed to go, so they were swapped. I'm amazed this worked like at all, but now it works a lot better.
Within yourself, but then you can also lean on others as well. So steer web. 30% on select items.
Wow, perfect timing. I need to get my kids' space ready without breaking my budget.
Yeah, don't break your budget. Heaven forbid.
A free but being committed to the people and the conditions of right here and right now.
It's still not wonderful. I remember the last time I worked on these FM, I could never get it to be amazing, but then like on the other hand, AM is like screaming probably. I haven't even tried it yet.
In a spot like this.
Learned about, people that are,
All right, you know what? I'll take it. The radio is kind of working. I'm exhausted. I'm gonna go and clean the cat litter boxes and make dinner. See y'all tomorrow. Alright, so the next thing to do on this is change the rest of the capacitors. We have, let's see, 1, 2, and then there are a couple more here, 3, 4, 5. I think those sprays are more modern. I think they're like maybe the early plastic film capacitors, but I'm not sure. It's easy enough to replace them. I also noticed I missed a cap back here. It's another one of those black mica caps I'm running into that are bursting open, so I'm going to replace that too. And also we have the across the line cap, which is essentially 2.01 capacitors, and you got basically one end here and one end here of the line, and then the center goes to ground. Pain in the butt, because what you have to do is make a little terminal strip for your tube across the ground caps, because you can't leave that in circuit like that. But it needs to be done for the sake of safety. So let me replace the remainder of these paper caps. Then we'll get to this guy here. Okay, so I got all of the capacitors replaced, and I'm going to do this next, but before I do that, I'm going to test this to make sure it actually still works, or maybe if actually it's improved any. Sorry, there's a radio playing in the background. Alright, let's fire it up here. There's always the possibility that you wired something wrong, and then you get fireworks or disappointment. That sounds like radio, maybe. Sounds awfully quiet. Something has failed, or something is touching something inappropriately in there, so I need to figure out what's going on, because that was working before and now it's not. You know, sometimes I'm a real schmuck. I don't know. I forgot to solder that in, so let me solder that on, and that'll probably be the problem solver, because that looks like it goes. It does! It goes with the volume control! Yay! Alright, well, let's try it now, because I get a feeling that maybe, just maybe, that could have been the problem, but, you know, who knows? Could be some other things afoul. Alright, let's see. Ah, fuck.
Troy, Mr. and Mrs. Smith, and Ocean's 11. He doubled for Agent Smith in 2 Matrix sequels. Leach did stunts for Matt Damon in The Bourne Ultimatum. He's also been
That's
an
NPR,
action
so that's pretty
coordinator and
good.
stunt coordinator.
Seems like it's pretty quiet up here. I'm also wondering, I think there's something off with the scale. Like there's something weird going on here. Strange. Strange. You know, I did not check that tube. But AM, wait a minute. Got a decent enough loop on here. Now that's curious. I've lost both. What the hell? Ah.
Again, you're right, man.
The first thing that Ryan Gosling does in the film is jumping from a ledge 12 stories high, and we see him wearing a
So I think it's probably an electrical connection issue. That's my guess. That means probably tube sockets, connections. Probably need to flush the wafer switches again. I'm going to check that last tube. I didn't check the 7A6. and I didn't check that rectifier either, and it's weird. This thing has like a menagerie of tube types. If you look at it, there's 3 right here in this corner. You've got, wait a minute, am I imagining things? That's not a Loctile socket, is it? I'm just looking at the metal base of it, thinking that it is. Oh yes, it is. It's a Loctile socket. So indeed, there's a Loctile, an octal, and a miniature tube. And there's all 3 of those types of tubes in this radio. Must have been right after the war. It's like, what do we have? Welcome to day 3 working on the Westinghouse. And today I'm going to replace the tuning string because that's some sort of cotton. And that's just going to fray. It's fraying as we speak, so we need something that's more appropriate for that can withstand that kind of friction. So I have this stuff here. It's a squidding line. It's like a fishing line. I've been using it for years. Hopefully I won't run out of it anytime soon. But anyway, I'm going to replace that. And I also went to the museum and I got some new tubes. Got a new rectifier and I got a new 7C7. We don't have any 6J8s, interestingly enough. So not sure what that's about, but I'm going to, again, replace that dial cord so it's not so wonky. And then it'll be time to maybe work on the cabinet a little bit. Before that, before I work on the cabinet, I'm going to add the oh so famous controversial audio input, except it's not so controversial in this one. It already has an audio input in the form of a phono input, so we're just going to use that. Alright, so we'll see we got this restringed. It's much smoother now. Also, I marked where this bracket goes because I was like, I'm never going to be able to figure out how this is configured because it's weird. Like, it has these little pieces that like interact with this point and this point, like on a pivot. Very clever. So I wanted to make sure I orientated it correctly. Alright, well now we have all of it. Again, look at this. This is so strange, but it works really well. I think what it is like you've got this huge, like really long indicator here, and there's no way they could have gotten that to make that sweeping motion like that and still look not ridiculous. That's cool. I like that. So let me put these new tubes in there, and then I'm going to add the audio input, make sure that works, and it'll be time to move on to the cabinet. Alright, so now we have the audio input thing going through this rubber grommet. I made a hole in the chassis in the back, so sue me. And we have the right and left channels going together through the positive of the phono input, and then the negative goes to chassis. And you can do that because you've got electrical isolation via this power transformer. If it were a hot chassis or a floating chassis set, nope, you would not want to do that. You would need to go through an isolation transformer. So, oh, and something else I just realized that I forgot is I have to do those oh so lovely across the line caps. But before I do that, I want to test the audio, see how it sounds, because I'm a little bit worried about what the speaker might actually sound like. The speaker didn't look so healthy. I'm hoping it's not rubbing, but we'll find out soon enough. Okay, so I've got the audio connected, but it's not enough gain. That's cranked up all the way. So that means I'm going to have to add a transformer in between the phono connection and the Bluetooth. Just need a little more oomph. Let me see if I have the right transformers to do it. I need 6 volt. Nope, that's 12. Nope. Uh-oh, that's not good. I thought I had more 6 volt transformers. Maybe I put them somewhere else, but I kind of need it to boost this. Alright. Now I've got the new cross the line caps installed. Look how nice and neat that is. Be creative about it. It's like a little monster with eyes. Anyway, I don't have any of those 6 volt isolation transformers, so I'm going to call it a day on the electronics, but that doesn't mean I can't start working on the cabinet. I don't know if you other people in California have these things in your garage. They're called roundabout flies. They don't bite or anything. They just buzz around in circles, but they're pointless. I'm not sure what their existence is all about. But anyway, I'm hoping I can save this because blonde cabinets are difficult, and this cabinet's just kind of dirty. So I think what I'm going to do is go over it with a mild detergent first, and then I'll go over it with some clear oil. Okay, I have to admit the cabinet's maybe a little rougher than I thought, but I'm going to do my best to try to make it stupid light. Make it look halfway decent. So I'm going to douse it with Old English for light woods, and I'm just going to let this stuff soak into this finish. The idea is to try to at least, quasi-rejuvenate this. I think I might even go after this with a little bit of... Actually, I don't have any Howards. It's in the light color. I just have dark. Can't use a dark furniture restoration product on light finishes. That's not at all permanent. It's not going to look shiny like that at all. But you want to let that kind of like marinate. You want to let this whole finish just marinate in this stuff. So I'm just going to douse this thing with it, and who knows, see how much it sops up into that finish, and then I may follow up with some beeswax. Alright, well I have to admit this looks a lot better. Is it a little rough around the corners? Yep, but I just saturated the crap out of it. Also, I've noticed the cabinet is coming loose in the back. So I think what I'm going to do before I go in, well actually not go in, I got to go out and water my plants. I'm trying to grow tomatoes this year and I'm failing again miserably. It's hard to grow stuff here. It's very arid. This thing's been somewhere wet. This is what happens when you don't store things in a nice way. So I'm going to put glue on all of these cracks. And then I'm going to get some clamps and clamp it up. Welcome to, I believe, day number 3 of working on the Westinghouse. And this morning I came in and did some more gluing because I kind of noticed that the front also had some stuff that was loose. And so now we have everything nice and tight. And it's not perfect, but it's not falling apart, and we don't have huge gaps in the cabinet. So now that we've established that, it is time to... Actually, did I already add the audio input? I can't remember if I did. Oh yeah, I remember. Duh. What I need to do is run the audio through a isolation transformer so that we can boost the signal, and you need the right ratio. So here we have 120 volts in for the primary, 6 volts out for the secondary, and we're just going to glue that sucker right there, and we'll have the audio run through that before it goes to that connection there. Will it reach? Because I put glue on this last night, which was, I guess, not the smartest thing, but whatever. It can easily be fixed. And then I think what I'll do is I'll start by, after that I'll put some wax, some carnauba, not carnauba, but beeswax on that to try to reinvigorate the finish just a little bit more. And then it'll be time to do some final cleaning and reassembly, and we'll call this one done. Alright, so we have the new isolation transformer installed before the audio goes in, and as a result we've boosted that audio signal a little bit, actually quite a bit. Alright, well that sounds good. Put a little glue on top of this in case that decides to jump out of there someday, even though I've never had one work itself loose. And then we're going to work on the cabinet a little bit more and then button this sucker up. Alright, so now we've got the feed and wax stuff that I use. I know it looks gross, but we're going to rub that into the finish and let that soak in. We're just going to go over the whole thing with it, and then it'll be time to reassemble. Alright, I know, I don't care if it's the wrong era, but I'm getting older. That was my era when I was younger. Bet there's probably people right now who are like, shut up, old fart. Anyway, so we got the lights for AM and FM, and naturally there's nothing that lights up for phono input. And
Actually, Satan, have you considered my servant Job?
We hadn't Jade and I into that room.
Timmy, everybody. Great job.
Driveway, built-in fire pit.
anyway, radio seems to work okay. I might put a little, oh yeah, I don't even have the antenna extended. Okay, well anyway, it does work, and it'll work better once that antenna is extended. But it does sound good on audio input for sure. Alright, well, another happy radio. I'm filming the best part of it. The top is still a little rough, but overall it presents well. It's old, it looks old, but it's still kind of snazzy looking. So that concludes this episode of Radiorama. Thanks so much for watching. Until the next time something comes across my workbench, I'll see you guys later. Bye.